exhilarating and unpredictable. And in 2011, it's unrestricted. This season has been the dawning of a new era in Australian rally. Not only have we seen the lid lifted on the main national championship with exciting developments in 4- and 2-wheel drive, but the drivers of the future have been given a boost with the introduction of the rallyschool.com.au Junior Challenge. The brainchild of CEO Scott Hedder, the Junior Challenge is being run with support from rallyschool.com.au. It provides opportunity for drivers under 28 to showcase their skills.
The Rally School Australian Junior Challenge. We've done Junior Challenges before in the ARC, but it's the first time Rally School's been involved. It's a fantastic opportunity for young fellas coming up in the sport to perhaps move on from two-wheel drive cars, give them the opportunity to drive one of our four-wheel drive turbo cars, an outright competitive car in the unrestricted ARC later in the year.
And that event is the final round of the Australian Rally Championship in Victoria. But that would mean winning their own final in front of the world's best at Rally Australia. Victorians Will Orders and Ryan Calder would have to be the odds-on favourites in two-wheel drive. Their Nissan Silvia boasted more than 400 horsepower. This pair will be worth watching. From Tasmania, it was Stephen Turner and Daniel Wilson in an unlikely Falcon XR6 who earned a place in round 2 after some consistent rallying. Whether it would have the legs in the final remains to be seen. And in a car from an even earlier era, Victorians Rowan Woolard and Phil Hurl made a name for themselves in their Datsun 1600 in the final qualifier. It was Tom Wilde who grabbed the first spot in the four-wheel drive competition, teaming with Sister Narelle. The West Australian siblings showed great pace in their Subaru STI. The brothers Berry, Nathan and Dane from Victoria, proved worthy recipients of a place in the final after round 2. Their Mitsubishi Evo as reliable as their driving. From South Australia, Sandy Knott and David Langfield make up the 3 fastest four-wheel drive qualifiers in a similar Mitsubishi Lancer. This will be the first time the 3 have come together to race each other. Just how did these drivers come to be here in Coffs Harbour? For that, we turn the clocks back to round 1 in Western Australia. Local knowledge was always going to be an advantage for Tom Wilde.
This is the one we want to qualify in because it's obviously our best chance to qualify. So, I mean, we get 3 points for every stage win as well as our end result points for the rally. So we still got to go fast, but you got to be there at the end to win it as well.
Luke Page made the trip from Queensland driving a Simon and Margot Knowles Evo 6. The opportunity to compete in four-wheel drive Junior Challenge saw him step out of his older Hyundai. James Rodder from South Australia figured on WA to increase his chances of qualifying as well. Subaru Impreza was well prepared. But nothing prepared 21-year-old Rodder for the result of his first outing at the Busselton Super Special stage.
Left 3 down, 100 over flying finish, right 3 to stop.
I think it's done a motor.
Oh, you're joking.
The 4-day trek across the Nullarbor and early advantage in the Junior Challenge up in smoke with an expired engine. The crew pulled the engine overnight and Rodder fronted for the start next morning.
Yeah, they ripped it out and ended up being a melted piston, so they ended up taking the piston out, swapping it over, and got it going at about 1:15 in the morning.
After a shaky start on gravel in SS3, Tom Wilde dominated the weekend, clearly with one thing in mind.
It's great for the sport to try and get us more publicity. I mean, that's the idea of it, to try and the next step up. We were wondering how to get to the next step and bringing that to WA as well. So like a qualifying round here is great for us.
Luke Page was second quickest through SS3 and 4, but a broken front transfer case ended his weekend early. Qualifying would have to wait till the APRC round in Queensland. At 27, Will Orders made no apology for being the oldest youngster in the two-wheel drive Junior Challenge. His objective was simple.
Oh, look, we're having fun. I think that's what it's all about. Look, you know, we've done 4 stages. We've got a 1.5 minute lead, so all we've got to do is just, you know, keep it on the road, get to the finish, and we've done our job.
Jack Flanagan was no match for the more experienced orders, the WA Junior finishing the weekend in third place. Victoria's Ross Allen, driving a Nissan Bluebird, was only able to wrest a win from orders in one stage. But it's all too little, too late. Allen's issues with a broken rear axle mount mean the two-wheel drive order was clear. The weekend was Will's, his eyes set on the prize.
By driving a two-wheel drive car this year, I think we'll prove to a few manufacturers that, you know, we're probably one of the guys that is you know, right for the picking for a factory ride.
So Orders and Wild bank maximum points from Western Australia to lock in their places at Rally Oz. Next stop, Queensland for the Asia Pacific Rally, coming up right after the break. Round 2 of qualifying in the rallyschool.com.au Junior Challenge was held at the International Rally of Queensland. Luke Page and Tiffany Baker-Schaefer had their second shot at qualifying, this time in their home state. But the competition was hot. It's points for stage wins rather than stage times that count in the Junior Challenge. But that didn't stop the ACT's Tristan Kent turning in times that saw him regularly in the top 10 and finishing Heat 1 in a credible 6th outright. Unfortunately, he clipped a concrete gutter in Heat 2 and eliminated himself with busted rear suspension. The battle for points then fell to Luke Page and Dane Berry.
If you are winning stages by a fair bit, you probably will back off, but if it's close, like, you really have to push still, and no matter what, because the thing is time doesn't matter, it all comes down to the points.
Berry from Victoria slipped off the road late in leg 1, but managed to recover and hold Page off. In the borrowed Speedy Contractors car, Luke Page was circumspect about pushing too hard.
Yeah, we just got to take it steady, take it nice and easy in the rough sections and make sure we bring it home, mate. That's all it's about.
Page was only able to take 2 stages from Berry though, and the Victorian banked maximum points in 4-wheel drive. In 2-wheel drive, it was the biggest cross-section of cars. Matt Amos from New South Wales was the man on tarmac. The VY SS Ute sliding through the corners, taking maximum points and attention from the crowd. But for all the reasons it was good on the seal, the lower Ute was just too low on the gravel and his rally fell apart with the suspension and exhaust on the rough Queensland roads. Victorian Paul Batten wasn't even born when his Datsun P510 was being blasted around the forest roads, but he had good reason for the choice.
We've got to stick to the heritage, so looking forward to getting out there and doing some skids.
That's an important part of it for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, I guess, because my dad used to rally in a 1600. This is actually my dad's car, so it's got a nice feel about it.
Batten, with experienced co-driver Jenny Cole alongside, took several stage wins over the weekend, but failed to finish. A hole in the number 2 piston will do it every time. Cameron Sluice and Nathan Long in the 2-wheel drive Nissan Skyline only managed 1 stage win in leg 1, but consistency rewarded them with enough points for the leg victory. They too succumbed to mechanical issues in leg 2, leaving the weekend win to Stephen Turner in the Falcon XR6. Turner from Tassie had made his presence felt in trying circumstances.
It's a very difficult rally. It's more survival, I think, rather than going fast at the moment. So we're going okay, I think. Yeah, we broke our gearbox yesterday at lunchtime, and we also had the power steering fail at the same time. So we had to battle through yesterday afternoon, and we haven't been able to get a spare gearbox. So we've only got about 3 gears left now. So we're just trying to get through and finish.
And finish he did. Maximum points in the 2-wheel drive Junior Challenge, with Dane Berry fastest in 4-wheel drive. The last qualifying round in the rallyschool.com.au Junior Challenge was the Scouts Rally SA. The field was thick with talent in the 4-wheel drive category, including James Rodder, who had failed in his bid to qualify at round 1. Tristan Kent was another backing up after missing the cut in round 2 at Queensland. 17-year-old Daniel Day lined up for only his 3rd competition, with high hopes after a great finish at the Adelaide Hills Tarmac Rally. But this would be quite different.
Yeah, it's definitely completely different, but just take it easy and get used to it.
But the WRX engine was cutting out and it spat young Daniel into the scenery through the slippery first special stage. It was Sandy Knott who banked first points despite a valiant attempt from Tristan Kent driving his dad's car. The pair traded stage wins to give them the early lead.
Everybody's here to win, so you've got to push hard to win the Junior Challenge as it's all points. It works on a point system, so you get 3 points for a stage win, 2 points for second on stage and 1 point for third on stage. So the winner is just the cumulative of all those points.
Yeah, he's going well, surprisingly, and obviously he's from New South Wales, so he's going really well considering he's not a local and hasn't done the event before, so yeah, watch out for him for sure.
After a seesawing battle, Knott managed to edge out his opponent to secure the top spot in the SA qualifier. James Rodder failed to make an impression amongst the stiff junior competition, but was on the limit trying to find a berth in the final. The railway jump in SS11 was his undoing, crushing the oil cooler pipes after a huge leap, leaving his future very much up in the air.
Unfortunately pushed the front up, and but that's it, so it's a bit frustrating, a silly mistake like that, but I suppose you get that.
In a leap of faith, Rodder was awarded the only wild card spot, so he and Knott would both make an appearance at Coffs Harbour. Unlike the four-wheel drive, where just one driver goes through, the top 3 in two-wheel drive all move through to the final. From the style of driving on display, you would have thought this was a do-or-die effort. Most of the juniors showed total commitment. Matt Amos fronted for a second time in his VY Ute with better results, scoring enough to grab 3rd spot, despite a DNF knocking him out of the last stage. Michael Busby picked up the wild card after dead heating with Amos for 3rd on points, but not stages. Victorian Brendan Brown showed Jack Monkhouse he wasn't the only one who could drive an old 180B. But it was Rowan Woolard who took top honours, powering his Datsun 1600 around every special stage over the weekend to record the most stage victories and therefore points. And maximum points delivered the two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive Junior Challenge qualifiers with the Future Drivers Award. 4 free Kumos for the next event. And that event would be the final at Rally Australia. All the information about Rally Oz can be found on the ARC's official website, including the Rally Club, keeping you in touch with everything in the Bosch ARC. Thanks to BP Citibank MasterCard, Rally fans get special deals designed for members only. In addition, you can access part of the website offering exclusive interaction with the ARC teams through the club's own forum. Check it out and all the information on joining at rally.com.au. Join now and receive a $25 BP gift card. This is what it had all come down to. The rallyschool.com.au Junior Challenge was on show this weekend in front of the best, the World Rally Championship, the biggest weekend of rallying in Australia. In all, a dozen junior teams representing the best 2- and 4-wheel drive crews in the country were here to fight it out for their chance of a fully funded drive in Rally Victoria. The course was the same as the ARC field and much the same as the World Rally Car, beginning at night under lights and the rain on the Coffs foreshore. The Coffs Super Special Stage was never about setting winning times, especially in the rain, and heroics were not needed in these conditions. Tom Wild slipped through the 3.8 kilometre stage to lead, edging James Rodder back to second. Orders revelled in the wet, right on the tails of the four-wheel drives, showing his high-powered rear-wheel drive Nissan Silvia was up to the challenge. Rowan Woolard was the next best two-wheel drive, the Datsun 1600 well off the pace, but holding second spot behind the Nissan Silvia in the wet. The rain abated for the start of the main competition in the forest north of Coffs Harbour. Morning brought with it the reality that competition in the forest would be very different to the previous night. Sandy Knott looking to recoup the lost time from a spin under lights.
You know, the first stage today is going to be the most important stage of the day. If you're switched on halfway through, there's no point doing it, so you've got to be switched on straight away and try and get your times up that way, I think, which should be our game today, and try and get a good lead on the first stage.
Wildcard entry James Rodder was just thankful for the chance to be here at all and keen to consolidate his good start last night.
It was a bit of a surprise, and thank Mick and Scott Petter and all those guys for giving us the second chance. The two qualifying rounds I've been at haven't worked exceptionally well, with WA having a motor and then a bit of an issue at Rose with the jump. So it's great to be here amongst some guys, and Tom and all the guys that qualified. Really tough competition, and we just try and stick with them for the weekend hopefully and see what happens at the end.
Most juniors opted for the compromise Kumo 800s for budget reasons, a tyre better equipped for the wet, slippery conditions. The ARC field paid the price for gambling on the close pattern 900 in the hopefully drying conditions. The forest was slippery and the 800s were the tyre for the job, the tyre most juniors just happened to be using. Sandy Knott did what he said he and David Langfield would do. The Kiri Hill Wines Evo was quickest car across the 29-kilometre Shipman stage.
I think given the circumstances, mate, that's as good as we could go.
Surprised we stayed on the track some places.
Overnight leader Tom and Merrily Wild were second, but their ride was not without issue.
What's that?
Somehow, turning the wipers off allowed the car to restart.
Low on power. Turn left 5.
But their issues didn't end there. The siblings from WA finished 16 seconds behind Knott.
Caution jumps, 350 metres, and turn left 4. Triple caution, rough. Bridge.
Dane and Nathan Berry opted for Kumo's 900s, banking on drier conditions. Theirs was a ride on the wild side through SS3, but they pulled in third quickest. James Rodder picked his way through the carnage. Crashing in this stage was no disgrace. Some of the country's and indeed the world's best were stranded on the side of the road. But the windscreen on the AquaGuard Subaru started to fog up, making the going tough for the South Australians over the final few kilometres. Orders and Calder dominated the two-wheel drives through this stage, the Victorians cautious in the slippery conditions. Still, the outright horsepower of the Summit Innovations Nissan brought a respectable finish time of 19 minutes and 18 seconds for the 29 kilometres. Bearing the scars of an enthusiastic start the previous night, Matt Amos and Zoe Gillis struggled with their HDT Motorsport entry. The high horsepower rear-wheel drive ute was a handful, but the damage from last night caused them overheating issues. The water crossing caused a moment's concern for Ross Allen. The Bluebird finally came on song and Allen and brother Scott powered on, catching the luckless Amos, limping the Commodore Ute to the end of stage. Stephen Turner put his background in speedway to good use, pushing the big XR6 Falcon home into second in stage. Orders was not on his list, but Ross Allen in the Nissan Bluebird was, and he beat him by a credible 19 seconds.
Thank you.
Rowan Woolard's progress was slowed through SS3, water in the electrics making the Datsun a crowd favourite. Jack Flanagan upgraded his Nissan Sunny to a front-wheel drive Daihatsu Charade Di Tommaso. With the National Championship heading to two-wheel drive, the West Australian figured the market relevance of front-drive cars in the future would be the way to go. The downside was an unproven car, and that was his demise. The charade suffered niggly electrical issues early on that would slow the youngest competitor's progress. Meantime, Rowan Woolard struggled to restart the 1600 as his competition drove by. No problems for Brendan Brown. His struggle all weekend would be horsepower in an underpowered Datsun 180B.
Adam 45, guys. Good luck.
Shipmans caused plenty of trouble for plenty of juniors. The Toyota Sprinter of Michael Busby and Chris Edmondson made good the water crossing, but spun soon after and bent the steering. The 21-year-old rookies from South Australia, in only their third rally, forced to sit out the remainder of the day with the spectators. The rallyschool.com.au Junior Challenge was just warming up.
Flat right on brow, 200.
In a big weekend of action at Rally Australia, where some of the world's best crashed out, the up-and-coming in the rallyschool.com.au Junior Challenge just kept on coming. Brooklana was cancelled due to accidents, but Yulong, just down the road, saw them back in competition.
Long right 7 here.
It was the two Evo Mitsubishis of Dane Berry and Sandy Knott that dominated through Special Stage 5. While the roads were slippery, they offered more traction than the previous stages. Knott winning by just 1 second, but importantly, taking the rally lead. The rear-wheel drive of Will Orders separated the four best all-wheel drive cars. The Summit Innovation Sylvia just 3 seconds off the lead pace and a massive 12 in front of James Rodder and Tom Wilde. Rodder consolidated his fourth outright position through SS5. Like everyone, he looked forward to making it back to service unscathed. Conserving all the power he could, including his onboard camera, Tom Wilde hoped to overcome the electrical fault that was cutting out the car's engine. Surrendering his lead to Sandy Knott, his two would be a much looked forward to service back in Coffs Harbour. The battle in two-wheel drive was between Ross Allen and Stephen Turner.
8 right. Keep 8 right.
Allen had the upper hand, the Nissan Bluebird leading the XR6 home by 2 seconds over the 12k stage. 30 seconds further back, Matt Amos and Brendan Brown dead heated the stage in 8 minutes and 54 seconds. Brown with the upper hand in outright terms. Cameron Sluice never made the finish. The knocking noise from the engine spelt the end of the road for the Queenslander just over halfway through. A run engine bearing. Back in Coffs service, it was time to reflect on tyre choice.
A lot of the juniors and a lot of the cars midfield opted for the 800, which was a good all-round tyre. Maybe not as quick on the dry hard stuff, but certainly the best option is an all-round conservative guess. And a number of the teams have benefited from that.
I had them for obviously Rally SA, and they worked really well there, and I was proud of them, so I'll give them another shot. They're more of a multi-purpose tyre if you get stuck in wet weather or dry weather. It's been an interesting ride the last few stages, very slippery. With our spin out last night, Super Special, we sort of lost about 34 seconds, so we had a fair bit of time to gain up, and we thought the first stage was the time to put the floor and give it a hot shot. So we did that and came off very well. So we're back in top spot again.
Will Orders had a commanding lead over the two-wheel drive field. His choice of tyre, an important part of that result.
We took a bit of a gamble, so we went out with an 800 medium, so yeah, it paid off.
Paid off all right, not only leading two-wheel drive, but third outright amongst the four-wheel drives as well.
To win's not our main objective outright in the juniors, is just to wrap up the two-wheel drive section so we can drive one of the rallyschool.com.au cars at Rally Victoria. So that's the main plan, and we're doing a little bit better than we expected, so happy days.
Not so happy days for Tom Wilde. A change of alternator hopefully would stop the electrical fault, causing the Chambray Gourmet Cheese Subaru to cut out.
I left all the electronics off for the next stage, and then the next stage it went again with all the electronics off. I rolled down a hill for about 20 seconds, and then I flicked the wipers on and the car went again.
The afternoon run was a repeat of the morning. First stop, the 29 kilometres of Shipmans, north of Coffs Harbour. Even with the drying conditions, those who'd been on the 900s in the morning changed to the wider, open tread pattern, and those already on the 800s were sticking to them.
We're not going to change anything. We don't think the roads are going to dry out too much because they're under underlying trees, and there's a lot of slippery bits. Even if it was to be sunny for a week, I don't think it'd dry out at the moment.
Tom and Nerily Wilde set the pace through the repeat run of SS6. Better grip from the replacement tyres gave them the confidence to push on, past plenty of cars stranded from their own exploits in the Shipman stage. The West Australians were 20 seconds quicker than their eastern neighbours. Knott and Langfield surrendered the outright lead of the Junior Challenge at the end of 29 kilometres. Dane Berry featured as well, but for all the wrong reasons.
Into right 9 over crest, then left 8 into left 8. Into left 8. Get a gear! Oh, now.
Dane and Nathan were both fine, but their tilt at the rallyschool.com.au Junior Challenge was dead in its tracks. Will Orders was third car home, 5 seconds behind Sandy Knott. The competition in two-wheel drive was all one-sided, but just who would play bridesmaid this rally was a two-way battle in itself. Ross Allen had the measure of Stephen Turner from the beginning, but the legs on the XR6 strided away to a 30-second lead on this stage, and the Victorian was playing catch-up. Stage for stage, the Bluebird stayed close to the times of the XR6, and through Shipman's repeat, the gap was kept to less than 15. Turner's cause wasn't helped by catching the slower-moving Brendan Brown, but he held on to his lead over Allen, who had to contend with another downpour. The HDT Motorsport Ute continued to have overheating issues. Matt Amos, eager to get to service, to sort it out. For Amos and the other cars stranded in the rallyschool.com.au Junior Challenge, the decision to cancel the remaining stages was not all bad. It had already been a tediously long leg, and an early mark was just the order of the day. But that order changed with the allocated times for each of the cancelled stages, moving Sandy Knott back into the lead ahead of Tom Wilde. Dane Berry's venture into the wilderness allowed James Rodder into third in four-wheel drive. Will Order's total domination of the two-wheel drive category would be hard to beat, but second place Stephen Turner was holding off a determined charge by Ross Allen. The second leg of the Coffs Coast Forest Rally promised better weather and better roads. Bring it on.
Fantastic roads. Most of the people I've talked to, resemble it to New Zealand, so really suits our car. So hopefully we can have a nice quiet day and not break anything and be here at the finish.
Leg 2 of Rally Australia was centred around the township of Bowraville to the south of Coffs Harbour, and that's where the rallyschool.com.au Junior Challenge was heading. At stake was the fully funded drive at Rally Victoria later in the year, and while Will Orders had one hand on the two-wheel drive prize, the four-wheel drive winner will be a battle to the end.
the four-wheel drive, it's going to be a fantastic race. There's been a lot of talk before the event about, you know, Tommy Wild doesn't really get out of Perth much and how's he going to cope. And last night he drove fantastically well. Sandy Knott was very fast. Boys are all doing well. That race with the four-wheel drives is right up there.
The roads were wide and open, much like South Australia. But the WA boy was not fazed by the perceived advantage, despite the Leg 2 lead being Sandy Knott's.
So today I think, you know, if the car goes good again, we can make up, you know, 10 or 15 seconds each stage and get in front of him again.
You're pretty confident you can do that?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident we can do it.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be a good game of cat and mouse today. Yeah, it'll be good. I'm looking forward to some fast roads, not to so much wet. So, yeah, it'll be fast and hopefully keep it straight.
8 left, 150.
Straight to the front for Sandy, not missing a beat.
9 right over crest, into 9 left, 100. Yep. 8 right into 8 left, into 9 right on bridge. 100.
The Kiri Hill Wines Evo stormed across terrain reminiscent of his home state.
And left 3 long, opens and tightens.
Wild was with him, a faultless drive, but the times reflected a brother and sister team not as committed as the South Australians, finishing 12 seconds astray and handing them a 52-second lead.
Then 30 right 4. Right 3 plus and dip. 30 right 4 and crest.
The Wilds turned the table in the next stage, Graces. The reason was simple. More commitment was needed to beat Sandy Knott, at least 10 seconds a stage over the course of the day. It took James Rodder till midway through the first stage to get to grips with the roads that should have been familiar to a driver from South Australia. He trailed Wild by nearly half a second per kilometre over the 21k distance. Will Orders beat Rodder through the first stage.
Slow 6 left tightens, turn 0 left.
Clearly the fastest two-wheel drive in the event, the Victorian was not backing off despite a healthy class lead.
We've got a 2-minute 40 lead, so we're just going to try and maintain that, and that's all we've got to do.
The real fight in two-wheel drive was still for second. Ross Allen chasing hard on the heels of Stephen Turner's XR6, but the Nissan Bluebird driver was full of confidence.
I reckon Turner's definitely achievable. As showed on the tight twisty stuff yesterday, I was able to make up time on him. I pulled 3 seconds out of him on the tighter stuff. It's where the horsepower makes it, is where he pulls a lot of time out of me on. So should be able to make it, no worries.
It's been an interesting race. We had a good dip last night at the Super Specials. He got us on the first one, and then we just managed to get him on the second one. So it's been certainly a fun race between the two of us.
Turner wasn't full of confidence, though, about how the day would pan out.
It could work out to be a disadvantage for us. They're going to be a lot harder and drier, I think. So it's tyre wear is going to be an issue. So we've got 6 left in our allowance. So hopefully that's enough to get us through to the finish.
Then turn 3 right, turn 3 right.
Stephen Turner's cause wasn't helped when he caught the slower-moving Michael Busby. Luckily not much damage, and the XR6 was left to pick up the pace and race with Ross Allen.
4 right again.
Allen took the first stage by 10 seconds, just as he'd predicted. Then the Tasmanian hit back through Graces, the XR6 quicker by 6 seconds. But the return of Woolard in his Datsun 1600 took them both by surprise. No longer in contention for outright honours after failing to finish yesterday, Rowan Woolard and Phil Hurl had replaced the drive shaft and were back in the game and on the money. The Victorian showed both Turner and Allen what they were capable of, beating them both home through the morning stages. By SS13 of Valour, the Datsun 1600 led the two-wheel drive field home. Will Orders' job at hand was the two-wheel drive challenge. Surrendering a stage win or two today was neither here nor there. The challenge was a lesson in itself. A fight with his fellow Victorian could wait for another day. Matt Amos continued where he left off in leg 1. A few set-up changes and a dry road should have made his day better in the SS Ute.
Changed a couple of things on the car to try and get a little bit more traction out of it. So we're looking forward to going doing some skids and having a bit of fun.
The fun ended through SS12 Graces when a shock absorber blew and the back of the ute got loose. but the crowd still enjoyed the Aussie racing icon. He and Zoe Gillis did beat Ross Allen home through SS14, Urunga, the final stage before service and lunch back in Coffs Harbour. Back in the four-wheel drive competition, Tom Wilde was beginning to get the hang of those eastern state roads. In WA, the marbles on the surface mean less grip off the racing line. But here he discovered grip outside the line that meant he could commit deeper and harder into corners. The result by the end of SS14 was only a 5-second deficit to Sandy Knott. To add to Knott's woes, under the pressure, he damaged the car's suspension in a rut. Fortunately, service was next.
See if you can line it up, Darren.
Sandy Knott would effect repairs to stay in the rally, but a despondent Dane Berry was lamenting what might have been after his off in leg 1.
Into left 8. Get a gear!
Oh. Now. This is extremely disappointing for us. We've worked really hard all year to get to this point, and to have a car in this condition and not be finishing this rally, which we really wanted to do, especially with the weather today and the roads today, which would have been awesome to do, but it's just how it goes sometimes.
The afternoon stages of Leg 2 in the rallyschool.com.au Junior Challenge were repeats of the morning stages. The skies were blue and dust, not rain, be the issue of the afternoon. James Rodder's morning didn't go according to plan. For his team, and as often the case, family, rallying has its ups and downs.
It's a roller coaster ride, because when they go well, they go so well, and then when you get all these problems happening, it's just up and down the whole event. As he went out this morning, got halfway through the first stage and lost third gear completely. He's come back in. The service crew have drained the gearbox out. They've replaced the oil, but there was quite a few metal bits in there, so that's not a good sign.
So he's going back out?
He's gone back out. He's going to try and see if he can finish the event, but we've got our fingers crossed, but we'll see how he goes.
Winning the championship was off the books for James Rodder after leg 1, but the young man from Meadows, southeast of Adelaide, had more than a few lessons in rallying and life over the course of the season. Travelling in the dust of James Rodder slowed Sandy Knott. He was awarded a derived time for the stage. It was quicker than Tom Wilde, and his lead extended to 16 seconds. He would need that and more to keep the hard-charging West Australian team at bay. The second time through SS16, Graces, Knott began to feel the tyres go off. A spin early in the stage cost him time. In all, he dropped 25 seconds to his adversary in this one stage. The lead had now changed for the third time. Tom Wilde led with 2 gravel stages to go.
Left 3 plus crest, 120, left 1 minus.
The two-wheel drive battle for second fell in favour of Stephen Turner. Electrical gremlins slowed Ross Allen even further. The wire came loose on the coil, and then the distributors started breaking down. Third would be the best the Victorian could muster from Rally Australia. For Stephen Turner in the taxi from Tassie, second would be a worthwhile finish in an unlikely but sentimental Aussie favourite. That other favourite, the Ute, also made the finish in 4th outright on replacement shocks. Rowan Woolard dominated the afternoon stages though and continued his winning streak over Will Orders. The oldest youngster in the rally, Orders was not about to get into a battle with his big prize at stake. Good thing he didn't. Very next stage, Woolard had mechanical dramas. A rear brake rotor disintegrated and he and Phil Hurl lose 5 minutes fixing the car to get moving.
Flat brow, 100, 5 left over bridge.
They return for the final stage with nothing to lose and beat every car to the finish of that final gravel stage of the day. Or should that be night? As if the day hadn't been long enough, it was a floodlit finish.
Awesome, you know, we're here, we kept a good lead, kept our head on right, and we're really happy. Absolutely over the moon.
Sandy Knott's day never got better, trailing Tom Wilde by 8 seconds going into the last 2 stages. The Kiri Wines Mitsubishi lost 5 minutes after failing to start with electrical problems. Tom Wilde extended his lead to 2 minutes by the end of SS18.
Yeah, pretty happy with the way today went. Sort of swapped positions with Sandy in the way we were having problems yesterday. He had problems today.
Yep.
So we were able to get in front of him. Just pretty much get the car through to the finish now in the Super Specials. Yeah, well done to everyone.
Nothing would change at the Super Special stages. It was a formality, just entertainment for the crowd. The real business had been done and won on the gravel roads of the Coffs Coast Forest Rally for 2011. 2 aspiring rally teams on their way to a fully funded drive at the final round of the Bosch Australian Rally Championship in Victoria. It was Will Orders by a whopping 5 minutes, convincingly Junior 2-wheel drive winner for 2011. A sterling effort from the yellow cab of Stephen Turner as runner-up, holding off Ross Allen in the Nissan Bluebird. Tom Wilde was the coveted Junior 4-wheel drive winner after a great battle with Sandy Knott. With these two, and the likes of James Rodder and Dane Berry, the rally community at national level can be assured of a great future. A future that begins in Victoria with the final round of the Bosch Australian Championship and kicks off the most exciting era in the sport's history with the introduction of the 2-wheel drive National Championship in 2012. These young men and women will be there and part of that future. We hope you can join us for that. In the meantime, keep up with all the action of the Bosch Australian Championship on the official website, rally.com.au. Bye for now.